Buena gente, bienvenidos acá a Darwin Games en un nuevo capítulo de Vampyr, como queráis llamarlo. En el anterior capítulo estábamos buscando al supuesto asesino que nos había metido un buen mordisco en el cuello. Todavía no nos hemos cambiado ni de camisa ni nada. Pero bueno, vamos a seguir y ya hemos visto un poquito lo que viene siendo habilidades y todo el tema. Así que vamos a ver, vamos a ello. A ver, ratas escondites. Vale, los escondites, sangre. Rata, sangre. Vale. Vamos a ello. Vamos a seguir, buscamos la sangre.
Fresh blood.
Fresh blood.
The whole building reeks of it.
¿Cómo te gusta?
The scent is so strong it makes me dizzy.
El olor hace que me duela la cabeza. La sed está llegando conmigo, necesito beber, me muero de sed. Vale, pues aquí ya. Mira, guadaña usada. Equipo de arma a 2 manos. Habilidad especial. La guadaña puede bloquear ataques e infligir mucho daño de aturdimiento si se ejecuta en el momento correcto. O sea, barrios, imagino, ¿no? Tiene pinta. ¿O no? A ver. Aquí. Imagino que sí. Ah, no.
This place reeks of bloodshed.
Todo eso son cuerpos.
William, my arm.
This creature is bedeviled. I must put it down.
Amigo. Tío, deja de morderme. Yo también soy un vampiro, ¿sabes? Yo también soy un vampiro. Ay, Dios, no me estoy utilizando lo del esquiva. Ahora sí te voy a morder yo. Ahora sí que te voy a morder yo, amigo. Oh, me gustan los barrios. Vale, bien. Que te quite, hombre. Nope. Nope. ¿Vas a saltar? Venga, a dormir. Let's go. Clava usada. Amigo, ¿qué te ha pasado?
William was an honorable man. I could have saved him.
Mr. Hampton, are you in there?
I knew him well, another lost soul, a kindred spirit.
Una perdida.
Listen to the sound of my voice. I'm a
médico.
doctor. You're suffering from shock.
Estoy
I
en shock.
must return to my flock. They'll stray without me.
¡Toma!
Remember, certain scowls are every bit as
¿Cuáles son tan
resistant as
resistentes
we
como
are?
nosotros?
Who are you?
Es usted.
What do you mean by
Con
scowl?
You truly are a newborn. I should have realized.
Debería haberme dado cuenta.
You are the woman from the bar.
Como yo.
Are you like me?
¿Puede ayudarme?
Can you help me?
I believe, sir, I already have.
Creo que ya lo he dicho. No, no me has entendido. No, no creo que me hayas entendido. Pero bueno, vale. Venga, amigo. Para arriba.
By George and the Saints, you've solved the mystery of these terrible murders.
Sí.
Patience, good fellows, I've come to offer help.
Ofrecer su
Just give
ayuda.
me a moment to secure my boat. We can leave this awful place.
Este horrible lugar.
William was not the evil man they claimed. He was just taken by the thirst. He needed this drink.
This man requires medical attention. We'll see he gets to the nearest hospital.
Atención médica.
No, please, I must tend to my fold. My flock needs me.
There, sir. Go with the good Dr. Swansea. He's resourceful, and I'm sure he'll take good care of you.
You'd best come as well. The sun is soon to rise, and you'll need a place to rest.
I just need a moment. If I can learn something about what has happened to William, I'll be a step closer to understanding what happened to me.
Sí, verdad. Puedo buscar en su cuerpo a ver si hay algo que me
This
interese.
poor creature can't be my maker.
Muestra de sangre de William Bishop.
Could it be some subspecies of vampire?
Vale, bien.
I must find a place to analyze the
Lomo.
blood.
Dinero. No sé si habrá algo más por aquí. Pero, mira, más dinero. Me interesa. La cosa es que con el arma... no. No me interesa del todo. El arma esta no me interesa del todo porque gasta mucha energía. Mucha estamina. Vale. Listo. Vale, ahora sí. Vámonos. Directos a un hospital. Está medio reventado el pobre.
Where are we headed?
¿A dónde vamos?
We're on our way to the Pembroke Hospital.
Al
It's
hospital
just across the
Pembroke.
canal.
Al otro lado del
They'll
canal.
have a bed for poor Mr. Hampton.
William was... What manner of creature was he?
Predator, prey, villain, and victim.
Quién sabe, lo importante es que ya no era humano, ¿no?
The important thing is that he's been...
Que no causará más
Duly
algo
noted. And the woman?
¿Una mujer?
What?
¿Quién es?
Who is she?
What woman?
Oh, don't play me for a fool. You used me to locate that skull. You must know who she is.
And I thought you a gentleman. You shouldn't talk about a lady behind her back, but I will tell you she values her privacy.
Valoran mucho su privacidad. ¿Quién será? ¿Quién
London as
será?
peaceful as she appears from the middle of the canal. If only that were the reality of the situation.
To be honest, I've always tried to avoid this part of
Siempre he
town.
evitado esta parte de la ciudad.
Pembroke Hospital is the last bastion between the rest of London and the epidemic.
Vale.
The flu has decimated the East End and the
La
war
gripe
still
diezmada
rages.
es entre la
Welcome
guerra
to the front
continua.
lines
Bienvenido a la
of a
primera
plague.
contra la
This is where
herida.
you work, Dr. Swansea.
I am the administrator of Pembroke Hospital.
I thought you were
Director
here in
del
service of
hospital,
your
ojito.
mysterious order, the Brotherhood of...
Of St. Paul's Stole, yes. But first and
Ante todo,
foremost,
soy
I'm
un
a
hombre
man
de
of science.
ciencia.
A physician,
Eso nos interesa.
like yourself. Dr.
Un médico
Reed.
como usted.
How do you know
Dr.
who I
Rey.
am?
No need for modesty. You are Dr. Jonathan Reed, a
Cirujano
surgeon
de
of some
cierto
caliber
calibre
and
renombrado.
renown, if I'm not mistaken.
Sí, no me
You
equivoco.
are correct, sir.
I knew it. I had my suspicions. But when you took the blood sample from the corpse of poor William, I was certain.
Vaya.
Dr. Reed. Marvelous.
Marvels. Magnífico.
Have we met?
Nos conocemos.
I attended 3 of your seminars
Desde
before the war.
antes de la guerra.
I have the
Admiro su
utmost
trabajo de
admiration for
investigación.
your research.
Y
And
qué
what a turn
ironía.
of fate.
Especialista
England's
en
most
sangre más
esteemed blood
reconocida en
specialist
Inglaterra vuelve a Londres.
returns to London a
Convertido en un
vampire.
vampiro.
That word, again. From a so-called man
Esta
of
vez el nombre
science.
es
I understand. Traditionally, the role of science is to refute myth, but when myth walks among us, the Brotherhood of St. Paul has dedicated its purpose to their study. There's so much for you to learn.
And for that, you are right.
Falta razón. No, la verdad que no.
Well,
Está
Then
grano.
let me be
Quiero que
blunt.
formen parte del equipo del hospital.
join my staff at Pembroke Hospital
Vale,
as a physician.
como médico. Sospecho
I
que
suspect you'll not find a
encontrará
better
un
post
puesto
of
mejor que
employment to
contemple su
contemplate
situación.
your predicament.
This is
No,
sudden.
tenía intención de
I was
volver a casa
returning
a
home
cuidar
to see my
de...
sickly mother. But alas, that was before contracting
Pero
this
antes de este contratiempo.
affliction.
Dr. Reed, take a moment to consider. The post would be for the night shift, providing a good explanation for your absence during daylight hours. You'll be adequately reimbursed and have a place to hide.
Hombre, no es
I
mal
even
plan.
had the forethought to bring some clean clothes. So, what do you say?
It seems I have little choice, but yours is a generous offer, so I thank you.
Brilliant! Oh, Jonathan, this is one for the book, and the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Pues nada, ya somos médicos en el hospital este de Pembroke. Fácil. Pembroke Hospital. Hospital.
Dr. Swansea, thank goodness. I was beginning to be concerned.
Worry no more, Nurse Crane, for I bring good news.
Te digo, buena noticia.
Oh, Doctor, what a night. We lost 2 more patients. Nurse Scow said she couldn't take it anymore and resigned.
Creo que ya no soportaba
Yes,
ya
well,
de
I'll
mí.
make a new rota in the morning. In the meantime, find a good bed for Mr. Hampton. Be sure to pay attention to his needs.
Of course, Doctor.
Oh, and Dorothy,
Yes, Doctor?
Dr. Reed here has just returned from the front. He served King and Country and will be joining us here at Pembroke. We're very lucky to have gained a surgeon of his talent, and one so experienced in blood transfusion.
That is good news indeed, Doctor.
Sí, ahora más todavía somos especialistas de transfusiones de sangre.
Here at Pembroke, it's not what we have, but what we haven't. It's only thanks to Nurse Crane and the staff that our ship doesn't sink. If you have any questions, just ask her.
Vale.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Your assistance is required, Dr. Swansea,
Welcome
immediately.
aboard, Jonathan. We'll catch up after my rounds. Coming, Nurse Crane. I'm coming.
I'm coming. Déjale bien. Vale, ok. Llévenme a un hospital, vale. Hacia el hospital de Pembroke. Es la siguiente misión. Este sitio es sano. Vale.
You can do better than that. Nah. It's my turn.
Rotten or pristine, each heart contains the seed of life. Drink at this river, dry it all.
Oh, come on, you bastard. I won't bite.
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse!
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
All right, sorry. I am in pain here.
Se me
My
están
guts
saliendo
are
las
spilling out onto the street and you're
no hacen más que
yabbering on.
parlotear.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
Calidad de la sangre. La calidad se indica la experiencia que recibirás por un ciudadano. Cuanto más alto es el calibre de la sangre, más experiencia. Para poder beberte la sangre de tu presa, tendrás que cautivar primero para apartarla de miradas indiscretas. Tu nivel de cautivar debe ser igual o mayor que la resistencia del ciudadano. Vale. LB.
Bring this fading light into the shadows. Dance with him the dance of life and death.
Sí, el camino rojo de las... a tu presa. ¿Eh? ¿Nani? ¿Qué es por aquí? Sí, ¿no? Amigo, por aquí. Sí. Sentenciar a Kleikov o liberar. Sentenciar te proporcionaría un impulso masivo de experiencia, pero tendrá consecuencias. Obtener información sobre los ciudadanos y descubrir pistas incrementaría la cantidad de experiencia obtenida. Voy a liberarlo.
No more. Not tonight. Not like this. I will not take another life.
What happened? Whoa, I feel giddy.
Vale, listo. De momento no quiero matar a nadie.
It is wise for the huntsman to sometimes let his prey go, but no famished hunter can run for long.
Ajá. De momento me da bastante igual, amigo. Así que... la voz de mi cabeza no me va a tocar las narices. Además, de momento no sabemos qué ha pasado. Puede que sea inocente de lo que ha pasado ahí. Que lo estén buscando para matarlo o algo. Se haya defendido. Eso no lo sabemos. Así que nada. Vamos a la parte de arriba. Creo que voy a hacer la run que dije de no matar a nadie o intentarlo por lo menos. No chuclar sangre. Aunque sé que va a estar más complicado. Pero bueno, yo qué sé. Aquí no hay nada. Aquí no hay nada. Aquí esto, y esto es por donde nosotros hemos entrado. Pues nada, vamos aquí. Buenas.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back
Necesito al
immediately.
portero que lo traiga de inmediato.
Thank you,
Vale.
nurse.
Bien, perfecto.
What can I do for you?
¿En qué puedo ayudarla?
Dr. Swansea insisted we
Insistió
provide
en
you
que
a
le
quiet
ofreciésemos un
office.
despacho
You'll
tranquilo.
find it on the second floor with your
En
name
la
on the
segunda
door.
planta hay una placa con su nombre.
Thank you.
Gracias, enfermera.
Nurse
Crane, ¿verdad?
isn't it?
Yes, Dorothy Crane.
Bienvenido al hospital de Pembroke.
Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
Su cita ya está preparada.
I would like to ask a few
Preguntas.
questions first.
Eh,
And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in,
¿Cómo está?
how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help
Un
him
ministerio
sleep.
sedante para ayudarlo a
Poor thing was
dormir. El
in
pobre
quite a
estaba en
state of
shock.
shock.
Vale. ¿Quién es el doctor tal?
What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your
Pues la
employer.
verdad es que no. Pero él sí me conoce bastante. Me conoce más que
It's
ya.
right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than
Y
me.
mejor que
The
yo. El
administrator
director
has
tiene
better
mejores
things to do
cosas
than
que
mix with us.
hacer que pasar el rato con nosotras. Vaya.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden. I've only just returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
Vale. O sea que es una buena persona. ¿Dónde está mi despacho? Segunda planta, ya nos lo había dicho, pero bueno.
Second floor of the hospital.
Ir a la
Left after
izquierda,
the
al final del
stairs.
pasillo
It's the last
encontrará
vacant
una
office at
placa.
the end of the
Vale.
corridor.
Ok,
Thank you,
adiós.
Nurse Crane.
Y seguimos. Vamos a nuestro despacho. Pero antes de eso, vamos a echar un looking a ver si podemos conseguir alguna cosilla por aquí. Que tiene pinta de que va a ser que no. Jamás te abandonaré, hijo mío. Mira, ahí hay algo. Vale. Recordemos, somos un doctor. Somos un doctor. Y tenemos nuestras cosillas. This is now or now.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you,
Soy una
sir.
enfermera de
I'm Nurse Gwyneth
Branahan.
Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke
Bienvenido
Hospital.
al hospital.
Did he
Pembroke.
really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal
Fanático
with
mío,
this
el
unexpected
director, madre mía.
You must know, blood
Las
transfusions are
transfusiones
Dr.
sanguíneas
Swansea's
son el
primary
objeto
subject
principal
of
de investigación
research.
del Dr.
He is
Swansea.
convinced it is the future.
Vale.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling
frente a
against
un
an
enemigo
invisible enemy,
invisible.
more lethal than any bullet
Más
from a
letal que
gun.
cualquier bala. Es
It's
duro,
hard.
doctor. Bueno, lo arreglaremos.
An invisible enemy. Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor.
La verdad que sí.
These last few weeks have been exhausting.
Se agotadas
We could all
y
do
todas
with a
nos
good
vendría
night's
bien
sleep.
dormir un poco. La verdad que sí.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
Hombre, encontrando la cura sería una buena forma de... Pero bueno.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them.
Tienen mucho talento.
Dr.
Dr.
Swansea
Swansea
has a
tiene un
gift
don
for recruiting
para
talent.
reclutar gente brillante.
Most of them. Is there a
¿Hay algo que
problem
debería
I should
saber,
know
enfermera?
about, nurse?
It would be
Resultaría
inappropriate for me
inapropiado que
to
hablase
speak
mal
ill
de
of
mis
a colleague.
compañeros. Ya también, ¿verdad? ¿Hay alguien que
Is there
destaque?
anyone that stands out?
Well, I have
Nunca
never
conocí a una
met
persona
someone
tan
as
entregada como el
dedicated as
Dr.
Dr.
Tippett.
Tippett. He should be a standard for us
Debe
all
ser un
here.
ejemplo para todos nosotros si
If
fuera
only
más
he were
joven.
younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
Eso es
I
de-
guess it's fair to say he's always pushing
siempre va
himself
hasta
to
el
the
límite. No
limits.
sabe cuándo
He
parar y
just
descansar
doesn't
un
know
poco.
when to stop and get some rest.
¿Cuántos años tendrá? Corco Antipet.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No, I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Vale, no quieres hablar. Ok. Preguntas personales. Necesitamos pistas de ella.
Goodbye, nurse.
Vale,
Call
pues
me
nada.
if you need assistance.
Más adelante sabremos qué cosas podemos decirle o no a esta doctora. Vale, sabemos de el doctor... doctor Tipe. Corco Antipe. Círculo social... Branahan. Calidad de la sangre no se sabe. Vale. Bueno, pues está bien.
Dr. Swansea is right. This place seems perfect to conduct my research.
Sí, correcto.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been
Nos han
introduced yet.
presentado, me llamo Pipa
My name is Pippa
Hawkins.
Hawkins.
And I'm
Hawkins.
Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has
Acaba de
recently offered me
ofrecerme
a
un
position
puesto
in this
de trabajo en el hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be
Que apreciamos
appreciated,
su ayuda,
Doctor.
doctor. O sea, todos aquí me conocen, ¿sabes? Es una locura. ¿Cómo está la
How
situación
would
por
you
aquí?
describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The
La
flu
gripe
is
está
wreaking
sembrando
havoc
el
amongst the
pánico
staff and
entre el
patients.
equipo y los pacientes.
We are
Nos estamos
running
quedando
out
sin
of everything.
suministro.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu
Se
won't
acabará en
last
algún
forever.
momento.
Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you.
Pero,
But what
¿y
if
si la
this epidemic
epidemia
was
va peor?
worse? What if in the
Y si
end,
nadie logra escapar de
nobody
ella.
was spared?
Que no.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Está agotada y no se sabe cuándo van. Vale. ¿Hace cuánto
How
es
long have you been a
enfermera?
nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no
Que
matter
no puede
how
con nosotros.
qualified
Es
you are,
muy
don't
pesimista,
tell
la
me you'll
Hawking
change
esta.
that.
Le sorprendería.
You'd be surprised what dedication
Pero era
can
con
achieve, Nurse
dedicación.
Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter,
Pero estoy
but I'm just too
demasiado
tired to
cansado
give
como
a
para
pep
estar
talk
ya
like Nurse
como-
Brannigan.
Vale.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well.
No, muy bien.
Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual,
Cascarrabias
especially
de
concerning
costumbre,
doctors.
sobre todo con los médicos. ¿Por qué Milton es tan
Why
gruñón?
is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad
No importa
reputation,
su mala
whether he
reputación.
deserved it or not.
Sea o no merecida, vale.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
No le gusta
I
los
don't
médicos,
know.
no sé,
Just
pregúntale
ask
a
him.
él.
But be warned.
Poco a poco
Milton
vamos a
is
ir
not the
aprendiendo de todos, así que necesitamos pistas y necesitamos pistas requeridas.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Goodbye, Miss Hawkins. Vale, bien. Imagino que por aquí no hay nada. Ahí hay una persona. Aquí hay un doctor. Mira, el doctor.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Seremos-
Reed? Yes,
Reed
I've been
dice,
informed
me
about
han
your
informado
arrival.
de su llegada, soy-
I'm Waverly
Ah,
Ackroyd.
pues no, no es el mismo.
Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you
llegada,
in
doctora
some way, Dr.
Rowley.
Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are
Son
reliable
profesionales de
professionals,
confianza, no
not
aficionados sobre
overrated
lo-
dabblers.
Madre mía. Uy, que hasta a lo mejor me lo cargo. ¿Tienes algún
If you
problema,
have a
amigo?
problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence
Nos ha
on this
impuesto su
hospital without
presencia,
asking
no
anyone's
sin
advice.
consultarlo.
The benefit of
Debes
his
de ser
position.
director, supongo, pero
But
yo
I
no
don't
estoy de
agree with
acuerdo.
it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Lo sé, lo
Aren't
notarán
you
ningún
too
bien.
old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
No, seguro. Seguro.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you
Diferencia.
talking about?
We're here to
Director.
save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please
Bueno,
feel
vamos a
free
ver
to
si
tell
qué
me.
me responde
Dr.
con los otros.
Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this
No
hospital
nos quiere
could
aquí,
use all the
punto.
help it can get.
Y está enfadado
You will
con
agree with that, I'm
con el director.
Oh, but I have heard about
Pero bueno.
you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really
Oh,
won't
vale,
do
o
you
sea,
any
si
good.
le respondes
Don't be
una cosa
ridiculous,
se
Dr.
queda,
Reed.
me gusta.
A
Me
simple
gusta
glance
bastante,
is
la
enough
verdad.
for me to
Bien.
know you have nothing for me to envy.
Vale, 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 ok. O sea, que sí se queda. Me gusta. Vale. O sea, entonces. Aquí nos falta un montonazo de gente por ver. Podemos salvar a todo el mundo, ¿eh? O sea, podemos curar a todo el mundo. Vale, y preguntas personales no podemos. Bueno, sí, mira.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame,
Fama,
or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
He salvado muchas vidas.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
¿Tú crees?
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
En eso estamos de acuerdo, vale.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Creo que él no quiere mucho hablar con nosotros, pero bueno.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Esta es la...
Thank you,
Vale, enfermera Crane. O sea, de estar afuera está aquí dentro.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
Puedo
I don't
ayudarlo.
know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Amigo. Que tiene los brazos rotos. Vale.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for
Ambos
me,
quieren
but
lo
there's a lot
mejor
of
para
pride
mí,
there.
¿verdad? Pero parece que los
Doctors are
médicos
no
no son muy
different from
distintos a los
carpenters, it
carpinteros.
seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wood and nails, not flesh and bones.
No de carne y hueso. Vale.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more
Trabajar, estar con la
curious about
familia.
what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Vale.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
Me acaba de decir que estamos más capacitados que los que están
Goodbye for
atendiéndole.
now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Vaya tela. Vaya tela, tú. Y ahora tengo que hablar con esta señora y con este señor de aquí.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really?
De verdad.
Why are
¿Qué
you
está haciendo
here?
aquí entonces?
I don't want to talk.
No quiero hablar, me
Throat
duele
hurts
demasiado la
too much.
garganta.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at
Sí, no.
least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer.
Mortimer
Mortimer
Goswick. Le duele mucho la
How
garganta.
painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all.
Preferirán no
Doctor.
articular palabras. Vale. Vale, lo dejaré descansar.
I'll let you get some
de
rest, then.
momento.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Vale, preguntas personales.
Tell me about
Hábleme de
yourself,
usted.
Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Vale, pues si no quiere hablar, no quiere hablar. Y le duele mucho la
How
garganta. A
painful
ver si
is
me
your throat, Mr.
deja
Goswick?
responderle a
So
otro.
painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr.
A lo
Goswick.
mejor.
Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of
A
something
lo
more
mejor.
hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Vale.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Vale, tiene corazón. Señorita, usted tiene corazón, pero...
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick.
Vale.
Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of
Asegúrese de
my
cuidar
Mortimer
de
and
mi
I'll cover
hijo.
all the
Vale.
expenses. That's all that matters.
Ajá, vale. ¿Tanto dinero tiene?
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Vaya.
Are you
Eso me
really?
suena a...
Most of the patients here are of a more
Madame.
humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes.
Me suena.
Thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
Vale.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice. Considering the
Es una
state of
situación de
emergency.
emergencia,
Is
pero
there
yo quiero
something
ver lo que le
particular
pasa
that's
a tu
bothering
hijo.
you?
Some of
A
the
ver.
staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Vale. Hábleme de su llegada.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start.
Ah, pero
And
él
that
es
nurse,
así.
Miss Hawkins seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
Bastante
What do you mean?
sospechoso.
She managed to secure a bed for my
Sí, una
son
cama para
despite
mi
the
hijo a pesar de la
epidemic. It
epidemia.
was a
Fue un
relief,
gran alivio.
but it wasn't
Pero no
cheap.
resultó barato. Vaya. ¿Le
She
cobró?
charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question,
Pagué sin
considering
preguntar,
the
no me quedó
urgency
de la
of the
vista la urgencia de la
situation.
situación.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
No, es que no son tolerables, la verdad. Y aquí no sé, no
Goodbye,
tengo
Mrs. Goswick.
nada, así que ya sabemos que hay cierta personita que le ha pedido dinero a otra cierta personita. Vale.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Bueno, unos me quieren, otros me
Thank
odian.
you.
Está bien.
And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland. Dr.
Strickland.
Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Me alegro, me alegro, me alegro. Puedo sacar la información del otro. Me interesa.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own
Yo hago mis
experiments. I'm
propios
convinced it's the
experimentos.
future.
Vale.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your
Ese
work have
trabajo me ha
inspired me.
inspirado. No me da
I am
vergüenza
honored
reconocerlo.
to have the
Es un
opportunity
honor
to work
trabajar
by
a
your
su lado.
side.
Estaré
It's
encantado de
always a
ayudarlo.
pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only
Somos los
ones
únicos
able to
capaces de
defeat it.
eliminarla. Pues puede ser. Puede que
I
saquemos
based
una
my
cura.
technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may
No
remain
fracasará.
empty-handed,
Aunque
but
puede
you
que no
won't
tenga
fail.
ningún
You're not
resultado.
the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Vale, bien. Bueno, por lo menos tiene claro que puede fallar
What can you tell me about the
en su
Pembroke?
Well,
investigación.
it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Estás solo con lo de las transfusiones. Es una puta locura.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Sí, porque ahora ya no tenéis tiempo extra.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass
Bueno,
by.
primera misioncita para ir a cierto sitio. Let's go. Vale, bien. Pues ahora eso lo único que tenemos que preguntarle es por el otro, de por qué odia tanto el progresismo de... Se va a morir. ¡Ay! Un momento. Ahora. Se me ha morido el
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded.
Sea tan estrecho de miras,
Dr.
el Dr.
Swansea
Swim
taught
me
me that
enseñó que la
science is about
ciencia se
exploring
define como la
uncharted
exploración
territory.
de un territorio
I'm
inexplorado.
convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of...
Vamos a ver que es envidia, orgullo, lo que le dije,
Dr.
los celos.
Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Se hace que es por celos sobre su técnica de transfusión
Tell
de
me
sangre.
more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly.
Podría perder movilidad.
I'm
Estoy
convinced your
convencido
blood
de que su técnica de
transfusion
transfusión
technique could
podría
help him.
What
ayudarlo.
is it you really want? To
Salvarlo,
save him,
demostrar que tiene razón.
or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing
A mi
but to
paciente.
save my patient.
Vale, o sea,
Dr.
quiere
Reed.
salvar al paciente.
Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Vale. Cuéntame la
Tell me
historia
Mr. Fiddick's
de
story.
Fiddick.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Vaya.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Vale. O sea, se queja de que es una
Goodbye,
persona seca, hablando claro. Que debería comportarse mejor con... Ok. Vale, ahora vamos aquí y tenemos a este señor de aquí. Carby se culpa de sí mismo por sus heridas. Tenemos dos pistas más. El cascarrabias este.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
¿Por qué se siente culpable de su herida?
Tell me about your injury.
Vamos a ver.
Why do you feel so guilty about it?
Está guapo eso de utilizar poderes.
And now I may lose everything because I've been careless
Que
enough to
perda
hurt
todo
myself.
por hacer imprudente.
What an
Menudo
arsehole.
sopenco. Vale, o sea, se culpa de la muerte de su mujer.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Pero eso no es culpa tuya.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France.
Y fui testigo de la matanza.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that my kids have.
Carga a mis hijos, pobres chavales.
Poor little bleeders.
Está cuidando solo de los chiquillos.
After losing their mother.
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Sí, eso es verdad. Si se los hubiera llevado. Vale, pues ya he hablado con esto. Sé más cosillas de él. Ahora podríamos hablar con el cabeza martillo este.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Ajá. No puedo con esto. ¿Qué opina de
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure. But my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Ajá. Asumirá las consecuencias. No prueba los métodos de medicina moderna. Confío en su juicio. Asumirá las consecuencias desde un punto de vista conservador.
If you are going to lead this surgery, I'm trusting you to assume the consequences of your actions, whatever the result.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his responsibilities, Dr. Reed. There is no need for you to be looking over my shoulder.
Sinceramente, no me gusta que este tío
Tell me, Waverly,
vaya a operar al otro, la verdad.
Pero bueno.
Strickland is playing with his
voy a ver si puedo decirle otras cosas, si no.
Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure.
Sí.
But my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
If you are going to lead this surgery,
vale, o sea, le digo lo mismo. Okay. O sea, hay ciertos diálogos que si le respondo una cosa no me los va a aceptar después. Vale, bueno saberlo.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Vale, ok. De aquí, del sitio este, hemos hablado con todos. Nos faltan 2, 3, 4, 5 personas nos faltan por hablar con ellos. Uno es el conductor, que no sé si estará por acá. No tengo ni idea. El sitio es enorme, ¿eh? Bueno, barra de plomo y placa de plomo. Nice.
It's locked, all right.
It's locked, alright. Vale, y ahí hay algo que miramos. Vale, lo mismo que leímos en su momento. Vale, tenemos X personas con las que hablar. Tenemos que hablar con este señor de aquí.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too?
¿Usted también
Not
es un
anymore,
médico?
sir. I used to be
Rakesh,
Dr.
Rakesh.
Rakesh Chadana. Now,
Chadana.
I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you
Guardián de la
mean?
morgue.
You used to be a doctor. Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
Huele a raro eso, ¿eh?
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay.
Yo también estoy muerto.
No soul anymore. All gone.
Bueno.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too. Most people fear, or at least have a respect, for dead flesh.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others.
Vale.
It's the pain.
La guerra ha cambiado a todo el mundo,
Not
por lo que veo.
itself.
¿Cómo consiguió el trabajo?
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by the docks.
Undertaker.
A dangerous place with many an unpleasant business there. Milton Hooks helped me get a job
a
here.
conseguir un trabajo aquí. Vale. Nos
Have we
conocemos.
met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
A funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were
Uy.
missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Do you work here alone?
Sí.
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Por si se levantan.
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
Vale.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the
Desde el comienzo de
epidemic.
la epidemia.
Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
Vale. Preguntas personales. ¿Quiere usted en la vida después
Since
del
you're not
trabajo?
afraid of dying,
A ver.
do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No.
No.
I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
Ajá. Me parece correcto, me gusta. ¿Las buenas intenciones no perduran?
Do you
Yo creo que
really
no.
believe
Creo que
goodwill
se
cannot last?
As I said,
machitan
sir,
más.
everything decays.
Todo se deteriora así.
If I was to never die, goodness, I would be bored or worse. And I like to be helpful, sir.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is we'll all die before losing our humanity, sir.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not.
No temo
I
morir,
don't fear death, for I
pues no
won't
lo
see it.
presenciaré.
What troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to
Pero creo que
those
eso es
I know.
el
You're
miedo que
a
tenemos
wise
todos
man, Mr.
también.
Chadana.
No, Dr. Reed. I am a foolish man. But I like to think otherwise.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I
Todo
sell
tipo
all
de
kind of
artículos.
goods.
¿De los muertos?
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
Joder, qué buena suerte.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Vale, le podemos comprar, sí.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
Fórmula enigmática. Esta fórmula escrita en el trozo de papel parece compleja, hay que analizarla. Opio y codeína. Esto me interesará comprarlo en su momento. No sé si puedo venderle algo. Reloj. El valor de reventa, bueno, este objeto se puede reciclar y obtener componentes. Me gustaría venderlo. Tengo 71. O sea que ya puedo comprar. Vale, bien. Ya tengo para analizar esto. Nice. Vale, solo puedo mirar ahora. Me imagino que aquí. Hay que analizarla. Imagino que serán entonces en el dormitorio. Vamos a ello. Creo que vamos a dejar esto por aquí. No sé, nos faltan por conocer de este sitio 4 personas. Vale. Imagino que los terminaré conociendo. Este ya lo conocemos. Los acabaremos conociendo en el próximo capítulo. Y ya nos pondremos a hacer cosas más importantes que ahora mismo. Mira, por ejemplo, aquí hay una persona. Desconocido. Tiene, por lo menos tiene corazón.
I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital.
Pembroke
And who are
Hospital.
you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal.
Mortal.
You're nothing but dust
Más que
blown
polvo a
by the
merced de los
winds of
vientos de la
eternity.
eternidad.
I beg your pardon.
Perdón.
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency?
Bueno,
Well,
tal vez hoy lo
tonight
ofrezca piedad.
maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know,
soy una vampira.
I'm a vampire.
Por eso tienes corazón. Es un vampiro.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
¿Ha oído hablar del síndrome de Cotard?
Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The
Los
affected
pacientes
patients
afectados
are
sufren
delusional.
delirios, creen
They
estar
believe that they
sintiendo
are
putrefacción en el interior, piensan que están muertos,
a ghost or a ghoul.
que son un
Or in
fantasma
your
o un
case,
espíritu.
a vampire.
O en tu caso,
Delusional, you say?
vampiro.
Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to
Ni
understand the
siquiera es capaz de
concept of
imaginar el concepto de
immortality.
inmortalidad.
And you think it is I who am
¿Es la
delusional?
que delira?
Please, describe to me how you feel.
¿Cómo
What
es
is
ser un
it like
vampiro? A ver,
to be a vampire?
comenta.
Hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I need new blood.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover to hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Ajá.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can
¿Quiénes
you
son sus
describe them?
enemigos? ¿Puede describirlo?
Can't say for sure.
Noto sus
But I
ojos al
sense their
acecho.
eyes on me from nearby.
Siento que me vigilan en todo momento.
I feel them watching me every time I visit the
Derribar.
garden near the morgue.
Cerca de la morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
Vamos a
I'm
cuidarla.
not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here.
Creo que está
I'll
más de la
personally
cabeza
make sure they
que
leave
otra
you
cosa.
alone.
Pero
Thank
bueno.
you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Ajá. Te quieren casar. Interesante. ¿Quién es en realidad?
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember.
Siglos de mi vida en día pueden tener efectos desconocidos en la mente de la voz de una persona.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark.
Está más para allá que para acá. Pero bueno. Está lo que viene siendo más para allá que para acá. Pero bueno. Vale. Aquí hay otra y aquí hay otras. Creo que el... The pain.
Good evening, sir.
Dolor.
Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Eso puede ser alguna enfermedad también.
Who is treating you? Is someone
Están mal cicatrizados a lo mejor.
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Vaya. Preguntas personales.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you.
Vaya.
Her head's broken inside is all.
Mientras que yo estoy por fuera.
On the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
¿La deja que le muerda?
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
Tiene una enfermedad
You
mental.
do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes.
Creo que hablando se nos ha ido bastante el tiempo, pero bueno, o sea,
Frankly,
es bastante curioso las historias de cada uno. Me está gustando bastante.
It seems much more fun than the real one.
Vale, bien. Sirvió durante
Where
mucho
were you
tiempo.
stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
Vale,
No offense.
normal.
I was pushing too much.
Yo
I
mismo
served
serví
in
en
France
Francia.
myself. I just wanted to
Yo
know what
deseaba
happened.
saber qué
You
le
were an
sucedió.
officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same
Dudo que
war,
ya
sir.
seamos en la misma
No
guerra, señor.
offense.
Puede ser, amigo.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Me voy por ahora, Mr. Elwood. Y esta es...
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Ah, ya he hablado con ella.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Vale, bien. Y nos faltaría el señor este que hemos traído, ¿o no? Tiene pinta, ¿no? También tenemos que hablar con Milton, ahora que lo pienso, con este. Milton Hawk. Luego este y este. Yo.
Good
What's up,
evening,
bro?
Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it?
Oh, sorry, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the
Fue que no era yo. Me temo que el miedo y el cansancio me hicieron decirle cosas
You
terribles.
remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be
¿Quién no lo
after
haría después de
enduring
soportar un
an abduction?
secuestro?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Ah, puede ser, sí. ¿Cómo acabó en la guarida de
How did you end
William
up
Bishop?
in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his
Fui a verlo
place and he refused to
y
let
se
me
no puede
go.
dejarme marchar. Vaya.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
Ah, pero Hawcroft
You dared to enter this
poquito
awful
malito de la
place
cabeza.
alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton.
O es un
Or a
héroe
fool.
o
I'm
un
just a
necio.
man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Ajá, vale. ¿Cuál es la situación en los muelles de East?
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers Trade Union.
Bandas sindicalistas del muelle.
Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Perdieron a su líder. Vale, ¿quién dirige ahora la
Who
banda?
leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs
Clay
the show,
Cox.
with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Soy guapo. Clay Cox
Has the
es
gang
el de
been
abajo que
threatening
hemos
you?
I
salvado.
know. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad
Ojo.
saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Vale, bien. Desesperación.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in
Hombre,
this
las
contagious
autoridades
nightmare.
abandonando a todo el mundo. Y
No
con el
drugs,
contagio.
no advice,
Mm,
nothing.
sí.
It's a damn
Es normal.
shame.
Y corrupción.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Ajá, entiendo. Entiendo. ¿Preguntas personales hay algunas? Sí. ¿A qué se dedica?
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Vale, es justo un
Are you a
sacerdote.
priest, Mr. Hampton?
¿Diácono quizás?
A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good
Estoy
word.
dispuesto a predicar, vale.
Why didn't you
Pastor,
use
por
your
así decirlo.
cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Con la del
Have you
director,
made
sí.
friends since you arrived?
Not really. But I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel
Me siento vacío.
empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion,
Vale,
and I'm
podemos
sure he'll take the best
sí,
care of you.
transferir un poco de sangre, pero bueno.
I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Vale, bien.
Goodbye,
Listo,
Mr.
listo, goodbye.
We'll talk again
Ya hemos
later.
hablado con él. Nos quedarán... Nos siguen quedando 2 personas. Imagino que estarán en otro lado. Pero bueno, vamos directos.
I cannot enter.
Vamos directos a nuestro sitio. Por cierto, voy a mirar una cosa. Vale, sí, corazón, corazón. Vale, perfecto. Tío, en serio. Parad de salir.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
Vale, esta
How
es
are
la
you
Howcroft.
I need blood, Doctor.
Necesito sangre. Sangre.
Rich, vibrant blood.
Quiero sangre.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark,
Vale.
to your nocturnal.
Lo dicho, vamos a arriba. que nos han dicho que tenemos la habitación. A la izquierda, al fondo. Segunda planta. O sea, esta es la primera, imagino que la segunda. Entonces aquí. Este debería ser nuestro... ¿No? Busca tu despacho en la segunda planta. Coño. Al fondo. A la izquierda nos dijeron. Fondo izquierda. Vale. Pues entonces la primera planta la de abajo. Vale. Vale, la cosa es, ahora mismo tenemos que ir aquí, aprender esto, analizar. Vale, ya tenemos más curas. Analizamos la sangre. Ya tenemos suero revitalizante diluido. Vale.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time.
Bueno, vamos a coger investigaciones y velocidad sobrenatural. Un vampiro puede actuar y moverse como un mortal en todo momento, pero un ojo bien entrenado podrá apreciar mucho más desarrolladas, una capacidad de reacción mucho más rápida que la de cualquier mortal en determinadas situaciones, alarma, sorpresa, necesidad de escapar. He visto a un vampiro desplazarse tan rápido que casi podría parecer que se desvaneciera para reaparecer en otro lugar. El ojo humano no es capaz de seguir sus movimientos cuando actúan con tanta celeridad. Pero no se trata de ningún tipo de teletransporte o desmaterialización. Tan solo es una velocidad sobrenatural. Para mí es como los atributos de los gatos que les permiten correr, esquivar o saltar más lejos o más rápido que nosotros. También he observado que esa velocidad parece agotarlos, por lo que están sujetos a limitaciones físicas. Vale, o sea, este artículo habla de cómo los vampiros tienen ciertas debilidades, atributos, etc. Así que bastante bien hecho además. Y aquí ya no hay nada más que recoger, diría. Así que ahora lo único que tenemos que hacer es dormir, subirnos a alguna habilidad. Que creo, y solo creo, que podría subirme esto de aquí. Coágulo. O, como habíamos hablado, subir la energía, que también nos hace falta. La energía también nos hace falta, bastante además. 300. Bastante, además, vuelvo y repito. Vale. Pues, una vez subido esto, vamos a guardar la noche siguiente. Y lo dejaremos por aquí. Vamos a, este capítulo ha sido mucho lo que viene siendo hablar con todo el mundo, interactuar con todos los del hospital para saber más o menos sus historias. Y creo que en el siguiente capítulo ya iremos más a ir a las cosillas que tenemos que hacer, hablar con ciertas personas para seguir haciendo la historia, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Ahora mismo, por ejemplo, atiende la puerta. Tenemos que hablar también con dos personas que no hemos hablado. Mira, por ejemplo, esta persona, tenemos que hablar con ella porque es el jefe de una banda. Y este también está agotado, así que seguramente tengamos que hacer cositas para el agotamiento. Con esto ya hemos hablado, nos faltarían 2 personas más, desconocido y desconocido. Aún así, con esta persona no hemos hablado. Con Milton Hooks, que seguramente también está cansado. Agotado, más bien. Esta persona está agotada, aquí tenemos que hablar con mucha gente, con mucha. Y pues nada. En el próximo capítulo ya tiraremos más hacia adelante y haremos cositas de misiones. Así que muchas gracias por verme. Ha sido un capítulo lleno de historias, sobre todo de historias. Y espero que en el próximo capítulo sea un poquito más de acción. Pero bueno, vamos a ello. En el próximo capítulo les seguiremos dando. Si os está gustando la serie, no olvidéis suscribiros y darle like. Y nos vemos en el próximo capítulo. Un saludo, chao.